What do you do as a social worker? This is a huge conversation because social work is such a broad and diverse anthropological study. I can't tell you what everyone does as a social worker, but I can tell you what I do. My name is Dr. Christopher Graham, and I hope to give you some insight in how your clinical practice can be built and can better suit your client's needs. It's really hard to know exactly what you need to do when you're building a clinical business. You have the liabilities, the risks, the client care, the requirements, the ethical obligations, the legal obligations. Everything that you can imagine could go wrong, may go wrong, and so you have to prepare for that. You're dealing with people's minds, their hearts, their souls. You're dealing with their interactions with relationships and how they see themselves. It is such a diverse world of treatment when it comes to helping people mentally and emotionally. One point of reference that I often give my trainees is that when a person goes to a cardiologist because they're having heart issues, they don't go on Facebook and try and look them up. If it's an emergency and they're in the ER, they're typically thinking like, crack me open and do whatever you have to do. That is just not the case when it comes to matters of the heart. We are more cautious with our mental and emotional health than we are with our physical health. And to be honest, I think it's totally understandable. When I know that a client is coming from a previous therapist, even if I don't know what the therapist is, my first question usually is, what did you like? What didn't you like about previous services? And it pains me to hear clients say something like, I ended up knowing more about the therapist than they knew about me. I didn't feel like I was being heard. They told my information to my mom. They called my relative, or they talked to another client that we happen to know each other. They talked to another client about my business. That is such an ethical violation, and it gives us a bad name. We as clinicians are building our practices on our reputations. If we cannot keep secrets, then we will not have strong practices. When my kids ask me what I do for a living, for the longest time, I would just tell them that I keep secrets for a job. How you handle your client's most personal information is going to speak volumes to who you are as a person and as a clinician. It is imperative that you are mindful of confidentiality and when not to keep confidentiality. There are certain instances where, for safety reasons, we have to divulge information. If you are subpoenaed by a judge, you have to give information. However, the amount of information you give and the type of information you give should only be relevant to what is requested for the safety of your client or somebody else. Every state is going to have mandating reporting laws and rules. We're not the only ones to do this. Parishioners, doctors, there are a variety of different clinical practices that require mandated reporting. So as you're building out your practice, consider what type of practice you're going to want to go into. I started practicing in 2010, and we did not have good, reliable, meaningful, ethical telehealth options. So I've experienced both worlds, pre-COVID, post-COVID, where everything in practice changed. There are a lot of options to be able to offer online resources. But the big question is not necessarily how you're going to offer services, it's what kind of a practice do you want to be in. And I know some of you are thinking, okay, well, I want to be in a private practice. And I agree. I've done private practice. There are some hurdles though when it comes to private practice. Your liability is higher. The risk is higher. Usually you're giving 20% for taxes. That doesn't count any of your maintenance fees or your building fees, your leases, or any of those other things that you have to use and buy and have as a solo practitioner. Private practice is phenomenal. The upside is that you can do whatever you want. You can have total autonomy and flexibility. The downside is that you have total autonomy and flexibility, and that means that you carry all of the liability and you're by yourself more than you're surrounded by other people. Solo practitioners are lonely. It can be very exhausting to be on your own, and not a lot of solo practitioners make it in the long term. Exiting from a service industry like a solo practice is really difficult, and you're not usually going to get the return on the investment because you were the business. In this situation, it's like Jay-Z says, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. You literally are the business, man. It's all on you. That's great for some people, especially for short term, but that's not always great long term. So I've got a couple more options for you. I'm going to give you one option, but my absolute favorite option, I'm going to give it to you next. So the first option beyond a private practice is you go get a W-2 job. There's nothing wrong with this. In the human service field, it's so much more reasonable that you're actually going to be working alongside of people to affect change. This is normal for social work, for psychology, for any anthropological field. You're going to work with other people. It is a human service field. And the beauty of this is threefold. Firstly, your taxes are usually going to be done for you. You're a W-2 employee, which means that all of those taxes are taken out on the front end, and you typically don't have to worry about those. The second thing is you're going to be surrounded by people that are going to help serve your population. You get to work with people, which sometimes can be exhausting because you have then the complexity of management, you have other people's perspectives, opinions, operating styles, and you have to learn how to work in a team setting. But the upside is that you're not on your own. You have supervisors, you have accountability, you have resources that are right there, you have people with experience. And this field doesn't value loyalty, it values experience. So the more you gain, the more you glean from people, the better off you're going to be. The third benefit to this is population management. You can choose what kind of an organizational structure you want to work in. The beautiful part about being in social work or sociology or psychology or counseling is that you are in a person-centered field. That means that you can find your tribe, you can find your vibe, you can find the people that you connect with and that you have a heart for, and you will find a job in that area. If you want to work in community health, that's available to you. If you want to work in physical health, that's available. Hospital settings, nursing home settings, community growth, politics, all of those things are open to you. It just comes at the expense of being a W-2 employee and operating within an organization. Hey, let me just jump in here real quick and let you know that if you are looking for clinical resources, guidance, or coaching, don't be afraid to reach out to me. You can post it in the comments. Share this video with someone who has questions about practice, and let me know what you guys want to see in the future. We're building a community, and I hope to see you there. The number one field, though, that I really encourage people that have a heart for solo practice and people that want to work in a group environment, my number one suggestion is that you get with a group practice. That could look like sharing an office space. That could look like sharing a billing partner, or even sharing clients or referral sources. But get around people that help complement what you're trying to accomplish. I believe with everything in me that I'm a good clinician. However, I'm not everybody's clinician. I have answers, but ask my wife. I don't have all of the answers, and it is incumbent upon me to make sure that I'm surrounding myself with people that help me become a better practitioner, that help to fill in the gaps that I don't have. If you're trying to service everybody, you're going to miss most people. You cannot be everyone's answer. You have to have referral sources. You're going to come across groups of people that you can't work with, that you're no good at, that issues come up that you don't understand. You have to have referral sources. If you're out there on your own, it's really hard to be as effective. You are stuck with yourself and maybe the other people you see at conferences or in passing. To build out a group practice means that you have other people that you're working alongside. There are some practice options too that will take a percentage, and they'll do all of your billing, they'll give you all the referral sources, they'll give you a schedule, they'll give you an EMR or electronic health record that you can enter your documentation in. Those are great options. Some of them will even cover the cost of your taxes and put you into that group environment as a W-2 employee. You still have the beautiful benefit of working autonomously and working the cases you want to work, but you lower the overhead risk. That's probably my favorite way to go. That's the type of practice I work in and the type of practice I encourage people to work in, especially if you're fresh off supervision. These are just a few of my thoughts as a licensed clinical social worker and a board-approved supervisor. You know what's best for you and what's best for your family. Try all of these things out. You can explore and operate under so many different umbrellas. Get experience, get it under your belt, build the practice you want to see. Good luck, you've got this.